What's up, YouTube world? This is Steven again, and it's currently 7:40 p.m. on October 23rd of 2022, and I would like to welcome you all to my 23rd video game review. Been a hot minute since I've done one of these. Resident Evil 2 for the Xbox One. If you don't want any spoilers, leave now, and if you're still here, that's your fault. A rookie cop's first day on the job, a student searching for her missing brother, a city on the verge of collapse. Completely reimagined award-winning horror classic. Play individual campaigns as Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield. Explore a stunningly rebuilt Raccoon City infested with terrifying zombies. So, yeah, like the back of the video game cartridge said, you play as Leon Kennedy and or Claire Redfield. I played as Leon first just because, well, I'm a guy. I wanted to do the guy campaign first. And it's his first day on the job, and he notices like everyone's turning into zombies. So it's in a place called Raccoon City, by the way, and he works for the Raccoon City Police Department. It's his first day, and he's going to the police station, and he notices no one's there except for another cop who's really injured, and he looks around and see if he finds any survivors or if Claire got in there somehow, and with while looking through and stuff like that, he finds that there's like a bunch of zombies in there and everything. And then he, later in the game, he falls upon Claire, who is locked outside of the Raccoon City Police Department. And then you don't see her for a while after that. And then once he goes back inside, there is a helicopter that crashed into the building that is now on fire. So he puts out that fire. Once he puts out the fire, he runs into, yes, the mighty Tyrant, or Mr. X, as some people call him. I just call him the Tyrant. This thing's a pain in the ass. You can't kill it. But yeah, best thing to do is just run away from that thing. Is awful. And don't even get me started on the freaking lickers. Those things suck. But the best way to go about them is just walk past them, don't make any noise, and, you know, you should be fine with those. But, yeah, and then after he gets through the police station with finding those 3 medallions, there's a unicorn, a lion, and a maiden? I don't know. But yeah, he goes into the basement, and this is where this is where you fight the first boss, and it is a G form number 1. I think it's like G form or G version number 1. The virus that is taking place in this game is the G virus, by the way. So it's G. I think it's G form 1 is who he fights, and I'll get to who that is in Claire's playthrough. But yeah, you beat that, and then you go deeper into the basement. And then you eventually run into a person called Ada. Ada or Ava? Yeah. And she is an FBI agent, I believe. And she has to save you from... There's mutated dogs. And then eventually she saves you from the Tyrant as well. So she saves you twice before you end up leaving the Raccoon City Police Department. And this is when you go into the sewers. And once you get into the sewers, there is a giant alligator who is barreling down on you and trying to chomp you into bits. And once you get to the end of the sewer, the alligator ends up chomping on a gas line or pipeline with gas or something. It ends up catching on fire, and then you shoot and blow the alligator to smithereens. It's amazing. And then you go deeper into the sewers with Ada, and you play as her for a few minutes. She runs into the Tyrant too, and you get past where she is, and then you go back to Leon, who's unconscious or something like that, and he goes through the sewers and has to end up finding these chess pieces and putting them back in place where they are, because he has to save Ada by getting into another room. But you have to figure out this puzzle and where to put the chess pieces within that puzzle by reading a riddle that's posted on like a blackboard or a post-it board or something. And once you get that right, a door's going to open up. You have to pull down a latch with an opening door to get to Ada, but the power is out, so you have to put the power back on. Once you put the power back on, G form number 2 is going to come after you. And this is when you have that another boss battle with G form number 2. And this is when you use a crane with one of those big rectangular metal containers to try to hit the G form number 2 off. You need to do it either 2 or 3 times in order to kill him. But yeah, try to save your bullets if you can in that boss battle. And after you get past the sewers, then you go to the lab where I'll get to more about that in Claire's playthrough, but where a doctor or pharmacist or something like that works, and she wants control of the G virus, but Leon wants to get it in order to stop this whole transmission of the G virus. And then you face these mutated green grass creatures and stuff. They aren't bosses, but these are new zombies that you encounter. And you have to freeze this solution in order to get past that part. And once you do, then you're going to get 3 different parts of your wristband. There's a green, a blue, and a purple. And once you get the purple, you're going to have access to everything. And then the tyrant's going to come after you once again. And then you go through this next part of the lab, and this is where you will find stage 3, or phase 3, I guess is the best way to put it, of the G virus. And it's another boss, of course. And once you get past that, then you will find Ada again, but Ada's going to hold you at gunpoint because it turns out she was using you, and she wants the G virus, or the cure for the G virus. But then the lab is going to detonate, a detonation took place, or a self-destruct sequence was set off, and Ada eventually falls to her death after she lets go of Leon, or Leon lets go of her. And then Leon goes down an elevator and runs past all of the rest of these zombies, and at the last part, or towards the last part, he ends up fighting the tyrant. That's right, you do end up fighting the tyrant in Leon's story. And after you beat the tyrant, then you try to get on this train, and Leon just throws the wristband back, and then he meets Claire, and a girl that Claire found in her playthrough, and that's where Leon's playthrough ends. Now I'm going to get to Claire's playthrough. Now Claire's playthrough, she's locked outside of the Raccoon City Police Department. She finds a way in, she finds bolt cutters, and cuts off the lock to the fence after Leon and her talk. That's where Leon meets her, like I said, in Leon's playthrough. And then she goes through the side entrance. This is where she finds out all the zombies are and everything. And she has to find a fuse to put in a fuse box that opens the elevating door into the main entrance of the, or in front of the main entrance of the Raccoon City Police Department. And then she goes through her regular playthrough and eventually runs into the tyrant as well. She runs into the tyrant in a different part of the police department, though. And after she finds all the 3 medallions and gets into the basement, she finds a girl named Sherry. And originally she's looking for her brother. Claire's originally looking for her brother. She finds Sherry, and Sherry says, "You need help because there's someone behind you." The someone behind her is G stage, or G phase 1. And they had, both Claire and Leon both fight G phases 1, 2, and 3. The difference is Leon fights the tyrant, Claire doesn't, but Claire has to fight G stages 4 and 5. And I will get to which boss I think is the toughest after I get to Claire's playthrough. And then I'll get to why I don't like this game, the reasons why I don't like this game. I mean, overall it's alright, but let's continue with Claire's playthrough. So she beats G phase number 1, and then she helps Sherry escape from the police department, and eventually does, but Sherry ends up getting put into an orphanage because her parents are not around, and the thing that Claire now notices is G phases 1, 2, and 3, at least, are actually Sherry's father, believe it or not. And the pharmacist or doctor that works at the lab is Sherry's mother. That was something that really surprised me during Claire's playthrough. Um, and then they go through the basement of the police department, get out of the police department, and she ends up getting captured by this guy. I forget the guy's name, but she ends up getting captured by this guy, and that's how she gets taken to an orphanage. But the guy, um, ironically, is the chief of police. Or chief of police, I guess. And he ends up capturing Sherry, and then you have to get through Sherry's playthrough after after you get through the after you leave the police department. You have to rescue Sherry from that guy, and then after Sherry escapes, then you play as Claire again, and this is when you go to the sewers and find the chess pieces as well, like I mentioned in Leon's playthrough, and you have to help Sherry, who is put into this like locked kind of chamber like thing or something, and you have to fight G phase 2, G virus phase 2, and do the same thing like you did with Leon, with the barricade and everything, and then you turn the power back on and rescue Sherry, but you find out that she has caught the G virus, and like her eyes distorted and everything like that. So you get on the I guess tram or train, and you take her to the lab where her mom works, and you put her on a bed, and then you go through the lab playthrough, like I said, except the Tyrant is not as present in Claire's playthrough, because the Tyrant ends up getting killed by G phase 2 before you get to the sewers. And then you beat G phase 2, and then you get to the lab, like I said, go through a lab playthrough, and then you fight G phase 3. These are the three bosses that both Leon and Claire fight: G phases 1, 2, and 3. And you beat that, and then you get back to Sherry, who is feeling better because she's administered the cure by her mother, but her mother ends up dying. The doctor ends up dying because she gets her internal organs pretty much get crushed by the G phase 3. And so y'all say goodbye. The lab ends up self-destructing, and then while you're trying to get the train's power back on, you end up fighting G phase 4 while the power is coming back on. And then you eventually get on the train and leave, like in Leon's playthrough. And then you meet Leon on the train, but the train is kind of being slowed down by G phase 5. And this is where Claire fights G phase 5, which in my opinion is probably the easiest boss. You just pretty much have to stay far enough back from it and keep shooting it until it reveals its big eye, and then you keep shooting the eye until the cutscene plays through. And then Sherry, Claire, and Leon walk off into the sunset, and that is Claire's playthrough. So if I had to pick which one I like better between Claire's and Leon's playthrough, I would say I like Leon's better. I'm thinking a lot of people might pick Claire because she has the more interesting playthrough, but there's two things in her playthrough that really did not make sense to me and left me wondering a lot. The things that did not make sense to me were, like I said, she was originally looking for her brother, but after the very beginning of that playthrough, that's like lost in the static somewhere, and then you just focus on Sherry, but nothing's mentioned about her brother ever again, so that left me really wondering about her brother. Another thing that really confused me was that Sherry's mother during Leon's story ended up dying in the room or just outside the room where you fight G phase 3, but in Claire's playthrough, she ends up dying in the hospital room where Sherry's bed is. And how can she die in two places unless if she's cloned or something? That really had me confused, and it just seemed really weird how that was put out. So that's the reason why I liked Leon's story better. It made more sense. Claire's didn't really make as much sense to me, where she just stopped looking for her brother and the doctor ended up dying in a completely different area of the lab. So yeah, in my opinion, the toughest boss to fight, in my opinion, believe it or not, is G phase 3. You would either think it's the Tyrant or G phase 4 or 5, But once Claire gets the minigun, all you have to do is unload the entire thing on G Phase 4 and pretty much dodge its attacks and you'll be fine. G Phase 5, like I said, stay far back enough, just keep shooting until it reveals its big eye and just shoot the eye. So G Phase 5, not that difficult. G Phase 4, if you have the minigun, spoiler once again, is a weapon that Claire gets. Not that difficult. G Phase 3 is very, very difficult. Just because you gotta keep shooting the eyes, and you're going to unleash a lot. You're gonna have to use a lot of ammo to kill this thing. It is very, very powerful. It's very fast. It lunges at you. It slashes at you. It tries to harm you in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, it's just a very tough boss to beat. And that is about all I have to say for this. Oh, there's also extra modes, but they are so difficult, I just stopped playing them after an hour of trying to beat them. I just stopped playing them, and it's like timed modes, so they're very fast modes, but I just stopped playing them after trying to beat them because they're just too difficult. But yeah, overall, very good game. Those two things really kind of confused me, though, so that's about all I have to say. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, Resident Evil 2, the remake for the Xbox One, is getting a 4 for me. I just wish there was more clarification about Claire's brother, and I wish that the doctor didn't die in 2 different places during both of the playthroughs. But yeah, that is about all I have to say for Resident Evil 2. Hit me up in the comment section below and let me know what you thought about this review, and let me know what you thought about Resident Evil 2, the remake of Resident Evil 2 as well, because I would like to hear everyone's thoughts if you played the game. But that is my video game review for today. Resident Evil 2 for the Xbox One. If you liked what you saw in this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and comment below. And I will see you guys next time with another video. This is Steven signing out.